Welcome to WO50 Women Over 50 Embody Wisdom and Wellness.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Corinne, and I'm here with my BFF, Eddi. And today we're talking about the art of planning and allowing, exploring the balance of intentions and letting life unfold. What category? What category do you come in, Eddi? Which category are you, more of a planner or allower?
I'm both. I have to plan some pieces and I have to allow lots of things too. I like flexibility. I like having some freedom to, yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I'm more of an allower than a planner. But I do have aspects of my life, like my retreats and stuff and trips, that I certainly do have to plan. But there's always a lot of flexibility and space in my schedule, so which I love.
And your garden definitely needs you.
It needs some
plans.
planning, but also allowing too. So
that's right.
Anyways, we talked about all the different aspects and why it's important. So we hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed creating it. Hi.
Hello. What a lovely day it's been. How are you today?
I'm great. Very good. Lots of stuff going on in the world. Lots of stuff going on in people's lives.
I just read an article that said September is self-improvement month.
Oh, jeez. That's hilarious.
I was like, oh, well, every day is self-improvement.
That's
isn't it?
Exactly. That's the thing. I mean, whatever works for you. But Sachi was the first one that brought that to my attention. He's like, every day should be Mother's Day. Every day on the planet should be a day to honor your mother. And it's like that for everything. Mother's Day, Father's Day, Sister's Day, Best Friend's Day, Wellness
Grandma
Day.
Day.
Yep. Just being mindful and living your best life.
You just can't plan for it. You have to allow
it. You want to jump right in, aren't you?
Yes.
Although I do believe that living your best life, whatever that is for you, is a very fine balance between planning and allowing intentions, letting life unfold. And that's, I think we had a topic a few months back that was about specifically maybe manifestation, and so this definitely goes along with it. But I feel like this is at least my intention today. It's like just, I guess, my experience between that balance of planning and just allowing.
Yeah, the creative process. Yeah, just allowing. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
So I think all of life is creative, right? So you just said the creative process. So is that what you meant? Like it's the creative process in life is the planning and unfolding? Because I think when I hear just on its own creative process, I think that's like the artist's way. And that's like art, the creative process of art.
Yeah. No, it's like when I hear the word manifestation, I often feel our thoughts and what we're creating and what we're allowing and what, how it's moving in our lives. That's why, I keep changing the words. Remember years ago, we would say, oh, I manifested that, or I manifested this. And now it's more, well, it's like someone says, oh, I manifested being a rock star. And we did talk about that in a last podcast, because manifesting is, a lot of people think it's just kind of thinking it into existence, or boom, there it is, surprise, magic, which there is a lot of magic. But if you want to be that rock star, you still have to be taking guitar lessons or voice lessons or working towards it. It's not like it's just, you can't sing. You're not going to, highly unlikely, I shouldn't say you're not going to, but highly unlikely, you're not going to be a rock star.
Yeah. Where your attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah, that's right. So that's the creative process I was talking about.
Yeah. So what would be, but it can also be for people that want to be a doctor, not just for music or art. Yeah. I want to clarify that.
That's right.
Yeah. Because I actually was just having this conversation about all of life being creative and coming up with creative solutions with a couple of my students after yoga class the other day. It's like both of them have sort of they're both actually thinking about retiring sooner than later. Like
Hmm.
they both thought they were 3 to 5 years out from retirement, and one is might even retire in 90 days just because she has allowed herself that she can, and also she doesn't like sort of her new job,
Hmm.
the where they put her, and she doesn't want to be miserable, and so she's had to work through all the fears that all that is. So that to me, and then the other one is actually um her job is really changing after 35 years at the same job, and it's becoming more and more challenging, and so she's considering now, maybe not being there for 5 years like she thought she'd be 35 years ago all this time. But it's like I was saying, creative solutions. That's the way I've really, from the time I was in school to now, it's like if I want to do something, I figure out how to do it. There's no blocks for me ever, right? It's like,
Well, it's great that you said that because I hear that a lot from people in my office or just in life, and they'll say, "Oh, in 5 years I'll retire, and then I'll do this and this and this and this." And a lot of times that 5 years, it's within the 2 years, and they go, because of what they're doing, they're working more on themselves. They found other outlets that they're enjoying. And now they go, I don't think I want to work at this job anymore. I don't want to put in 5 more years. So there's the allowing to, okay, sit with that then and just allow yourself to think the thought of being done sooner.
yeah,
Imagine
yeah.
that flow happen and see how are you feeling? What's the feeling you're getting with that? Where a lot of people are like, oh God, 5 more years and it's making me sick. I was like, oh, watch that thought.
And yeah, and not listening to the body as it's talking to you and thinking you can push through. And
Mhm.
also letting go that you touched on. It's like being willing to let go of your plans. Because the longer we have a plan, say a retirement plan of 35, 40 years of working, whatever, the longer we have a plan, the more sort of solidified it is. So the harder it is to be open to something different. There's going to be all
Mhm.
kinds of emotions and feelings to sit with, fears, hesitations, insecurities, like all kinds of stuff that comes up. And so figuring, so what I had mentioned to the first woman is she decided, say a couple weeks ago, okay, I'm going to do 90 days now. But then even though she was resolved, there's still fears coming up. And also there's still some misery at her job, going in
Yeah.
there and doing. And I'm like, well, see the job, do the job, stay out of misery. Like if you've decided to do something and you've only got 90 days, it's all a mindset. Like it's all
Hmm.
what we tell ourselves. And, you know,
Yeah. It's different when it comes like to money. Some people plan retirement or they tuck away a little bit every month or they're saving for their grandkids or they're saving for their retirement or they want to work a certain amount and take less time off, maybe, going part time. And those are nice things to plan for, but we got to leave room for just allowing life to happen as well. Like, you know, I know so many people that plan every waking moment. They're up, the clock goes off and they're up and then coffee's on. That's even timed and the workout's timed and they're not even sitting back to take inventory. Do I even want to do this anymore? It's just timed, it's planned. If I don't do that, I won't get it in. And wow, okay, well, that's good. That works sometimes, but I find after 50, we start going, okay, maybe I don't need that. Maybe I don't need to, maybe I need that extra hour sleep. Maybe let me just allow my body to sit with this. Maybe Saturday I'll do less. It's like
yeah,
we get
I
so
like,
rigid. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. The longer a plan is in existence, the more solidified it is. And that's
Hmm.
the rigidity. And there's a saying that came to my mind. It's like, what got you here isn't the same thing that'll get you there, what got you here isn't it might not be the same thing you need going forward. And you can also look at it as the environment. What got us here isn't going to be the solution going forward, and can use it for many things. So, and it's hard for us as humans because when we figure out what works, it's a smart thing to continue doing what works instead of hitting your head against a brick wall. But life is so much more fluid than
Mhm.
we want to surrender into, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, look at when we travel and some have a really rigid plan, right? Oh, got to see this sculpture and this art exhibit and this whatever. And got to stay, they got to have the hotel booked. They can't breathe till everything's booked where they're going to stay. And then there's the allowing of, well, let's get that booked and then let's move around and everybody's so different, right? And they get to a place and go, let's see if we can find an Airbnb or a townhouse or a, a nice hotel room in this little town. Let's kind of, you know, throw a dice on the map and see where it lands. It's like sometimes that's fun to do stuff like that, right? I mean, when we did Sicily, we had a plan, but some of those plans really changed, and
Yeah.
we we went with the flow.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it was hard moving from, that plan, but then once we sort of opened up, there's space. That's why, I do like to. I was sitting with somebody the other day, and she's like, I was listening to your podcast, and it really struck me. You were talking about you like to have transition time. And to me, when you have transition time, it creates space in your schedule for things that come up.
Hmm.
So, if somebody's got a flat tire, oh, I've got the space that I can actually go pick them up and I don't have to reschedule my entire day. And it can be challenging if you've lived your life with a schedule to all of a sudden not be. And there's certain things like it is about balance because I know as a self-employed person and not having a schedule for most of my life that I have to be very intentional creating a schedule and disciplined and stick to it for the most part as far as like exercise go and meditation goes and
Hmm.
things but there's a lot of breath in it. So finding the balance and just noticing like that's where the inquiry that Eddie and I talk about all the time is like, where do I land in this conversation? Am I a planner or am I a loosey goosey person? And probably if you're like self employed or have been self employed, you're probably more like a loosey goosey, like I am a little bit. And if you're like a planner, you may have had like a job that you had to be at, and so really, and it, just like Eddie said, doing vacation. So if you're a planner, then do try going on vacation where you plan less, or at least the first time you do it, maybe go halfway. And if you're the opposite way, where you're a little bit loosey goosey, try creating some more schedules and see how that works for you, especially if you have specific, health goals or exercise goals or
Hmm.
visiting family or whatever it is, things you would like to see change and shift. It is important to have some discipline in there,
Yeah,
some schedule.
I'm a little bit of both because, I work in my office and I have to have a planned schedule. Can't be loosey goosey.
Yeah.
Got people planned, they come at a certain time, and then where I allow things is what can come up in the evening. Because if I have something planned and it's not set in stone, it could be the type of activity I'm going to do. It could be, a nice hike somewhere, or the grandkids want to do something, or I've got to pop and see mom. We have to give ourselves some breathing room, especially as we get older. That because it creates stress when we um, don't have breathing room.
Mhm.
We
Yeah,
can't
even
work
that
it all in.
statement, no
Yeah,
breathing room. Yeah.
yeah,
That's, yeah, stress written right in it. Yeah.
yes, no breathing room, and so you do need that transition time. That's really important, even if it's between leaving your house and going to work or going to visit your seniors or your kids or grandkids, or you're taking your dog for a walk, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Yeah, that time to, like you just said, allow for the flat tire. I hope we don't get a flat tire, but
Hmm.
we don't have as much stress when we give ourselves a little room and allow, and sometimes unexpected things come up when we go, ooh, I gave myself, a little moment and ran into so and so and we had this great chat. And yeah, those are beautiful things, right?
Yeah. 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 Taking a look. And usually we're good at planning in some areas, and usually we're good at, even if we're a very planning and disciplined type person, you notice that maybe there's one area in your life where you are a little more allowing. And you just look at that and take those qualities and say, okay, what am I doing in the allowing part of my life? Why do I feel like I have to control more? Like if you feel like you need more balance in both. And I sort of have done that my whole life. Look at my strengths, my weaknesses, and see, okay, where can I bring a little
Mhm.
planning? Where can I bring a little allowing? And I feel like I want to talk about too why this is important too. Like the you know, I guess we've been touching on it already. It's like if you look at nature, we're as much a part of nature as a tree. The food we eat from the time we're babies turns into our bodies, right? So all our cells are made up of the food that we eat. And the air that we breathe is the same air. Deepak used to say that all the time, the same air that Jesus breathed, and Caesar and Cleopatra and everything. We're all breathing the same air. Same molecules have been recycled. And if you do any gardening, you see that recycling happening. I'm in fall right now, and I see the recycling of the old things dying, and I've got a few new things planted, but it's that recycle, right? Where I can't. I've lost my train of thought now because I got into the gardening part of it.
That's what always happens to you when you think about the garden. Now you're like, oh, I got to tend to my cucumbers. And yeah, you need to allow more time for that, to the
Oh, I
intention.
was saying the
Maybe.
nature. Okay, nature.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are nature. Thank you very much for letting me come back to that. We are much a part of nature as nature is. And if you look at nature, I follow this gardening girl, and her name's Anne of all trades. And she says, just look at nature. She's into lazy gardening. And she goes,
Mhm.
nature doesn't like mulch. Nature has a natural mulch but it doesn't like dig up the soil all the time. If you go into the forest, there's leaves and twigs and all kinds of stuff that's the natural mulch that's there. But nobody comes along and digs up and tills the soil in the forest, and yet everything grows just perfectly. Nobody comes along and
Yeah.
waters. It just happens naturally. And so, like a tree that grows wild or in your yard, it's gonna it's there and it's planted there, but it doesn't know what the weather's going to be and all, and it just kind of goes with it, all of it. And
Hmm.
some people would say, well, you've got to make some plans. And yeah, and that's what we're talking about, the balance of it. You have this intention, and then but at some point there has to there has have to be, but it's nice if there's a letting go.
Yeah. 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 I watched a segment that you just reminded me of. There's these crabs, and they're trying to get them, and they're really not a crab. They're a type of, they look like a stingray with a crab shell on their back. And they come and they lay thousands of eggs on this beach, and then they go off, and they're blue, and they're like, I don't even know the name, but it's coming into my head. And they're trying to get them protected because a lot of times fishermen would come in and sweep them up and use them for bait. And what happened was these birds rely on these eggs that come out of these crabs. So the eggs that make it get go into the sand along the beach line. And then these beautiful, they look like a mix between a crab and a turtle. And yeah, it's just amazing. And oh yes, and the studies they were doing, they used to use some of they would take some of the secretions out of these crabs, and that's what they were working on, doing virus research for COVID and different things like this. So now that's why they got into using bioactives, and rather than kill all these, protected species now to find and study things. But these birds that were migratory planned their whole flight on the guarantee that these eggs would be laid. They would have their lunch and off they go because that's what they feed on,
They
right?
ate the eggs.
Yeah, the eggs. So when this started to happen, like the whole sequence of events started to change because there was less eggs, there was less birds flying, and next these birds are becoming lower on the totem pole. So we're like, wow, everything affects everything. We plan and allow, and
Mhm.
it's just life.
Everything affects everything. That's a beautiful. I think I did a post on my Instagram a couple months ago that we have we have to be thankful to everyone for everything.
Yes.
It's like we affect people always like, I want to find my life purpose and I want to help people. Like, you are affecting your purpose on life is to be here breathing, and that's it. You're
Hmm.
breathing it, but you each person has to come to that themselves. And if that
Hmm.
means that it's a specific calling that you have, that's fine. But you're it's like you affect everybody you sit next to on the plane, the person at the cash register. Think about, if you think about all the people that have affected you and the people you run into in the day, that you think back on, whether it's an angry person you saw and you felt their anger and felt bad for them, or felt they scared you, or you got triggered by them, what it is, we're constantly in this feedback loop of things on the outside
Yeah.
affecting. And it's like this organized chaos almost. And I feel like hopefully as we get older, we get better at being more fluid. Like, example, two of the women that were on our retreat that are your clients in Newfoundland are coming to Alea and my retreat in just a couple weeks, and they just decided like a week
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And I
That's
love
great.
that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
being, that's allowing life to unfold and allowing the pull
Hmm.
and the flexibility to go, to come to another country, do a
Hmm.
silent retreat they've never done before, and trusting, that's awesome qualities.
Yeah. And I'm sure they had, if they compared to what they had to do last year, there was lots of plans that they had in place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those plans changed this year. And so, it's beautiful how it affects your life moving forward, what you decide to do or what you decide not to do. Like it just, we can't plan ahead to
We
see,
think we can.
oh, yeah, well, I'll plan ahead and do this. I remember years ago, you and I were making all these plans. We'd get together, we'd see each other, and we'd have a list like the length of the kitchen sink countertop and around the floor and through the living room. And Satya looks and he goes, "To you, so funny making plans," he goes. And then we come back and he goes, "How much did you get done on your list?" And we just giggled, right? We're like, not much.
And we
But the
would go
plan
with,
was there. We just did a lot of allowing then, don't we? Don't we?
yeah, it's like once you really start to pay attention to what your plans are, what actually happens. Like, seriously, everybody listening to this, think about a day or a vacation or a family trip, where you have all these plans and even intentions, and think about what you wrote down or what you had planned on and then what actually took place.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really funny when, because that, if you have a hard time with allowing, just study that and you can see that it's already happening. It's just, are you are you allowing it to, are you fighting it still?
Hmm.
You know, can you see that it's already happening in your life?
Yeah. Because allowing is you're giving yourself the freedom to have some flexibility,
Mm-hmm.
really. And that's, we have to do this as we get older, getting kind of stuck and in the same thought process and making the plan. Oh no, this is how I made my bread and this is how mother made it and this is how you're going to make it. And then, you know, someone has a different plan for it. It could be one of the grandkids. No, I'm going to leave sugar out of it now because I don't think sugar should be in that. And then, uh, something as simple as just a recipe that can,
So true. It could cause somebody to reel in disappointment, or you could create something new and allow somebody. Yeah,
mhm.
I'm actually got this is a good example coming up for me this weekend. Colleen and I are going to visit Alea in Asheville, and all on the our Sunday group meditation. I'm not going to be here, and then the other two gals that usually lead aren't. So Ashley, who's one of my yoga teachers, said she would lead the meditation, and it's like, how much do I allow her to do her own thing, and how much do I check in on her to make
Yeah.
sure that she's doing and giving the people what I want? I mean,
Hmm.
this is where I have to be careful. It's been really good for me to, as a meditation teacher and a people who's taught other people how to teach meditation, same with yoga. It's like I can, even though I'm very good at what I do, um, giving people the flexibility to embody it in the way that they want to embody it. And
Mm-hmm.
so every Sunday, a lot of us girls, even though we're take turns leading the meditation, I'll try to be there when another one of them is leading it, and allowing them to do it the way they want to do it, and trusting
Mm-hmm.
that the people get what they need to get.
Yeah.
That is a very hard one for me.
Yeah. I think the folding of the yoga blankets is a hard one too.
Well, that is kind of like
That's a
the
skill
rest.
though.
That is,
That's really important though,
well,
because
it's important because it's time in the yoga class. So the folding of
that's
the
right.
blankets is specifically the support. And if they're not folded right, then we're spending the whole time in the yoga class folding the
Trying to fold
blankets
them.
instead
Yeah.
of being in the pose. So
There's
there's
an
a
art
purpose for
to
that.
it. There's an
Yeah.
art to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. I just had to throw that in there
Yeah.
because
But if you find yourself, I know, no, it's all good. If we're finding it the place where we might be rigid, we even talked about it just a few weeks ago, the places where read the habit reboot we just posted a few weeks ago. It's like, finding out places where we're stuck. And it's hard because we don't see ourselves very clearly. It's not until we hold up a
hmm
mirror to our friends and stuff that we can see, or I can tell you how to find something too. If you have a reoccurring issue that comes up with you and a friend, or you and a few other friends, or you and your partner, you know, if you have a reoccurring argument or a reoccurring theme, it's
hmm
something that's not resolved yet. And it's something where you might have a little stickiness, and it's never, remember that one point finger pointing back and three fingers
hmm
at you. It, it is never all the other person ever.
yes. Oh yeah. I totally agree with that. And it might take some time to figure out what it is, but as
Yeah.
long as you hold that thought and you sit with it, you know, that's just allowing something to come in where there's a resolution, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that I think that's really good when it's the same thing with food too. Another thing with food, when you have actual food allergies and sensitivities, you've got to plan, when we travel and I'm going, okay, it's got to be gluten free and dairy free and processed sugar free, and I don't do processed meats, and we're looking and sometimes there's the really you really have to allow yourself to stretch a bit, even though you can't eat some of those foods, but you got to allow, okay, maybe I'm going to try another way of there might be a restaurant that's cooking certain things in a different way that you're not used to eating, right? And whatever it is, it could be Ethiopian food or Indian food or Mexican food, and you find something within those food ingredients that resonate. That's allowing. That's you didn't plan on that. You didn't know they weren't going to have all that on the menu. You're not going to McDonald's to get gluten-free stuff, right? You're not going to find much there. But when we travel and we allow a little bit of this is an adventure. Let's see what happens. Just like
Mm-hmm.
Sicily.
And what
Sometimes it's
happens,
fun.
yeah, exactly. What happens when you do have more allowing, less rigidity, is spontaneity and joy. And
hmm
you get more options, experiences, right? So it's kind of like, I think I haven't said it in quite a while, but when Deepak Chopra years ago talked about this new fancy satellite GPS system, was going to come out, and he said, you are going to be able to put your address in somewhere and go. I was talking about that with my eye doctor today. I said, what did we do before, GPS? And I said, do we write things down? He said, I used to print out MapQuest. That was before the Google Maps was MapQuest, right? And print it out to follow
Yeah.
it. So we plan, maybe think about a destination that we want, and then allow the universe to get us there, reroute us, and not planning every step. So what happens, even you think about this intellectually, say if you plan a trip from Nashville to New York, you're going to drive, right? And then if you plan out every place you're going to stop, how long, and which roads, which route you're going to take, and say you've got like 5 choices to get you there in, whatever, 10 hours, something. If you're very rigid about where it is you want to go exactly, then you might get stuck because of weather somewhere, but if you kind of allow that rerouting, there could be some beautiful magic, different people that you'll meet. And that's how everything in our lives is allowing the magic. So if you
Mm-hmm.
find yourself wanting more magic in your life, I feel like look at how you're allowing things and how much space do you have? How much are you allowing life to unfold?
Yeah, it's beautiful. You could be on a little drive and take the wrong turn and end up being by the water, and you find your perfect little retirement home that you want to build, or a little getaway that you go, whoa, we got to come back here, beautiful little surprises and unexpected
Yeah.
things. So,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, that happened a lot on the Sicily trip. I would be like, because I'm a research person, I'd be like trying to find all the best places so we're not wasting our time. And then it would like the GPS wouldn't work or whatever, and then just have to throw that out and then just wander. And those times when we didn't have our devices and just wandering was so fun,
yeah, yeah.
discovering little places and
Mm-hmm.
great
Yep.
views. And
Great views and met some sweet people, and yeah, yeah. And that's what it's all about. It's just enjoying this time in our lives and trying to find the joy in every little adventure that we do. And when we have something planned, allow for playtime, allow for something magical to happen. Just even
Mhm.
have a little spot available that where you go, okay, we have an hour to allow. No, I'm kidding.
Well, yeah, no, that can happen. That can happen.
You can. I know it's just it just came in my head. These things, this happens. But no, it's yeah, just sometimes just going with the flow is really nice.
Mhm.
And yeah,
How
don't
well do
plan
you
too
go with the
much.
flow?
Yeah. How
Mhm.
well are you able to just be? And
Mhm.
and when you're finding you're getting stressed or can't get your breath, then try and make more time between appointments or different things, Like
Mhm.
people, I know my mom now, she doesn't drive anymore, and she has lots of allowing time because now she's like, okay, I got to wait for my friend, and this gives me time to call so and so and chat with this person. And, these are kind of like the little icing tips on the cake.
Yeah, breathing room for
Mm-hmm.
infinite possibilities, as Deepak would say.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Less tunnel vision.
Mhm. That's a good one to end with. Less tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
Wide open spaces vision.
Great chat.
Yeah. Thanks, Ed. That was really fun. We hope you guys are having a wonderful time, wonderful day wherever you are, wherever you're listening to us. And we think about you, when we're planning the podcast and coming up with topics. We do think about what will people want to hear. So we
Yeah.
appreciate each and every one of you.
Thanks for listening.